Hello, hello, hello. What up? My name is James McCool. I am the owner of PayDirtDFS.com, and today we're going to be doing a morning NFL kind of chat stream type thing, talking over the slate. As usual, I try to do it on Saturday night, but lately it's been easier for me to do Sunday morning. We are in the middle of moving, so everything's a mess. Just ignore the things behind me that doesn't look awesome. But we're going to knock out this stream. We're going to talk about this slate a little bit and talk about where some of the best plays are. It's a really, really interesting NFL slate because the pricing is really, really good. So usually when that happens and we don't have any plays that are just like absolute smashes in terms of their value or in terms of what they offer you for building lineups, it leads to less it's less necessary for you to end up having a lot of leverage. So like the models this week are pretty much on the chalk running backs. The chalk wide receivers pretty much make sense, but even when I say chalk, like David Montgomery is projected at 20% ownership, Sony Michel at 21% ownership, Jonathan Taylor at 20. Like it's very unlikely that a whole bunch of guys are going to be in like the 30s or the 40% ownership or anything like that. It's super unlikely. So leverage is a lot less important this week because ownership is going to be so spread out anyway that like it doesn't really matter where you go. You're going to have enough leverage on the field. Like you don't really have to fade any one individual thing to give yourself a huge leg up in the field. When we look at overall ownership, Antonio Brown projects as the highest owned player at 20% owned, and that's really, really low. So you really don't have to be all that different this week in terms of the way that you're playing or in terms of the way that you're building lineups. You can pretty much just build the lineups that you want to build. But we can get into that a little bit more later on. We're going to do what we usually do. We're going to go over the Vegas information first. We're going to look at over-unders, see where the highest totals are in the games. And then we're going to look at the stacks and the stack combos that we're liking. And then we are going to look a little bit at individual players, but probably not very much. This is going to be a pretty short stream, so I don't know how deep I'll get into that. Obviously, if you guys have questions, then please ask. I'll answer any that I have time to answer. And if you have questions on individual players, then I'll do my best to answer those as well. So we are going to jump into things starting off. Really quick, before I go back in. The Discord is free for the site now, so I opened that up for free this year. I just want to continue to work on branding, continue to work on expanding that kind of stuff, and also the articles are free this year. So if you were interested in going and seeing the writing that I have, after this I will go post a link to both of those things, but I'll put them into chat here. So there's the article, which is live right now, and then the Discord link. Find that here in a sec. Copy link. There you go. So if you guys want to come like hang out and talk, then that's cool too. But we're gonna jump into things here. All right. So as usual, we're gonna be using the Fantasy Labs Vegas dashboard. The highest over/under on this slate is actually the Cardinals at the Cowboys, and it's not getting near enough ownership. Like when we go over and when we look at the projections, like Christian Kirk is getting some ownership, right? But not much, 14% owned. Michael Gallup, 14% owned. Like these guys are just kind of in the middling ownership ranges. And I don't think that Kyler is going to be all that high owned. If we go over to the QB ranges and we look here, Kyler Murray only projects for 5% owned. And I think Zach Ertz projects pretty low owned as well. Yeah, Zach Ertz only 6%. So people aren't focusing on this game, and I think that's really weird. It's 52 over/under here. The next highest is 51 for the Chiefs at Bengals, and even this game is getting that ownership. And then it drops down. It's 5 points less for the Buccaneers at the Jets. Now, granted, the Buccaneers are implied to score 30 real-life points, and like the Jets are not projected to keep up literally at all. But like, it's crazy that this game is not just like the stone nuts chalk, because it probably should be. Cowboys are 6.5 point road or home favorites against Cardinals team that's been struggling a little bit, so it should be a competitive game. I don't mind going pretty much all in on this game. As I mentioned, the next highest overall game is going to be Kansas City at the Bengals. People are probably going to be really, really high on the Bengals this week. After getting there last week on like their gutsy GBP call of like the Cincinnati Bengals being the nuts. They're playing at home this week against Kansas City. People are going to look at this as a shootout, and that's fair. I mean, this is only a 3.5-point favorite for the Chiefs. They're 3.5-point road favorites. There's no reason to think that this game couldn't shoot out. That being said, Kansas City has been really, really hard to stack for DFS in the second half of the season, and the Bengals would actually prefer to be a running team. Last week was kind of an aberration of what the regular game plan is. If you go in and you look at the Team Vegas baselines, you can see that Cincinnati here, they're only 62% pass, which is kind of like middling in the league. And overall, they actually do like to rush in the red zone. They're applied for 1.35 rushing touchdowns, 1.35 passing touchdowns, 1.05 rushing touchdowns. So they're pretty even split. There is a chance that they end up not being very pass heavy. That being said, if Kansas City gets out to a good lead, then Cincinnati's going to have to pass from behind, and that's obviously a good spot to go as well. So, and I know, Zach, I'm trying really, really hard. The branding is hard for me, but I'm trying really hard. As I mentioned, next game is Tampa Bay at the Jets. Tampa Bay should just fucking crush the Jets. I don't know why I would say anything different there. Ronald Jones is obviously a very good play because they are 14-point favorites. That being said, a Tampa Bay stack is going to be less owned, I think. Tom Brady maybe only 6% owned. He doesn't project especially well, but implied for 30 real-life points. Like, you have to like the Buccaneers in the spot. Next, we have a 46.5 over-under for the Rams at the Baltimore Ravens. This has been bet up 4 points. It's mostly coming on the back of the Rams, which I don't know why the Rams open up at 19. This game probably should have just opened up probably somewhere in like the 44-45 range. Obviously, the Ravens kind of expected to have Lamar Jackson back, but now they're not going to, so it's Tyler Huntley. Dropped them down about 3 points on the line. So this game should be good. Tyler Huntley has been fine, especially in terms of fantasy. He's been mostly what we want Lamar Jackson to be anyway. So this game has a lot of upside. It is really, really hard to fit Cooper Kupp and Mark Andrews in the same lineup, so I do kind of prefer to go with OBJ in this one. Obviously, that's terrifying. Cooper Kupp fade is terrifying, but like, if you want to stack this game, you almost can't use Cooper Kupp and Mark Andrews in the same lineup. So you have to get really weird to do it. I don't mind going down to OBJ instead of Cooper Kupp. So next we have the Falcons at the Bills. Bills are 14.5-point home favorites against Falcons. That makes sense. Falcons only implied score 15.75. This game has been bet down 3 points, only 36% of the bets, so that is a sharp bet coming down from around 50. The Bills don't have Emmanuel Sanders, so it'll be the Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis show very likely. I like stacking the Bills. I don't think you have to have a comeback from the Falcons if you don't want. Devin Singletary has been getting around 40% of the rushing work, so he's in play as well. The Raiders at the Colts. I actually like the Raiders to win this game. I certainly think that +8 is a really good against the spread. I just think that works really, really well here. The Raiders have been a much better passing team than the Colts, and the Colts, of course, are built on the back of Jonathan Taylor. If Jonathan Taylor doesn't end up getting there, then I think they're a really beatable team. So I really like the Raiders. Take +8 against the spread, or take the money line if you want to be a chat about it. Like, one way or the other. Put some money on the Raiders here. From a DFS standpoint, I like Josh Jacobs. I don't mind a Raiders stack, bring it back with Michael Pittman. Obviously, I like Jonathan Taylor. There are things to like in here, but mostly one-offs. I don't really think that I want to stack this game. The Eagles at Washington football team. This game's only a 45 over-under. The Eagles do not have Antonio Gibson. Sorry, the Washington football team do not have Antonio Gibson. The Eagles do not have Miles Sanders. So lead backs out for both teams. Washington pretty much just has Jarrett Patterson, which is... he's not very good, and they're projected to be in a rushing or a passing script anyway, trailing from the Eagles. The Eagles play really slow pace. They prefer to be a rushing team anyway, especially without Miles Sanders. They go really, really, really rush heavy. So I actually really like Jordan Howard this week. I think Jordan Howard is a really, really good option, assuming he plays. If he doesn't play, Boston Scott is probably the best running back to play on the slate. But I really do like Jordan Howard here. They give him a lot of work when there's no Miles Sanders. And he gets a lot of goal line work too. So I like Jordan Howard. I like Terry McLaurin as well. I don't mind Ricky Seals-Jones. There's things to like in this game. I don't think that I would stack it, but there's definitely one-offs that I like. The Broncos at the Chargers. Broncos are missing basically everybody. Courtland Sutton is basically their only healthy starting wide receiver, so we know what that means for him, right? Like, he's going to get 35% of the targets. He's going to get 35% of the air yards, 35% of the touchdowns. Like, he will be basically their entire offense, and it's Drew Lock throwing them the ball now, not Teddy Bridgewater. So Drew Lock is going to be airing it out a lot. I really like Courtland Sutton in GPPs this week. He projects well for me in the models as well, so I really, really, really like Courtland Sutton this week. For the Chargers side, they're pretty much healthy except for Jared Cook is out. Donald Parham is out as well. It'll be Stephen Anderson who gets the majority of the receiving work, so he's really cheap tight end that you can use if you want. This game is stackable, though. I don't mind going with a Charger stack, bringing it back with Courtland Sutton. I don't mind going, I mean, if you really want to be crazy about it, you can go the Broncos stack, bring it back with like Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, but I do really like a lot of the options here. A Charger stack is really, really interesting, and nobody's going to be on it. Okay, now we're getting into the shit games. The Texans at the 49ers, 44 over-under. Texans are 13-point underdogs, but I'm going to say something here. I think the 49ers lose this game. And, like, of course this comes back to the Jimmy Garoppolo is actually, like, a good quarterback thing, but Trey Lance is not a good quarterback right now. And Kyle Shanahan has been really, really bad. His record without Jimmy Garoppolo is like sub 30% or something like that. He has not performed well without Jimmy Garoppolo at QB. So the Texans have been good. Like, Davis Mills has been good. They have like their full roster back except for David Johnson. They have Brandon Cooks back. Like, they were able to beat the Chargers last week without Brandon Cooks, and I think that there's not enough confidence in them to be able to beat this 49ers team. So I like the Texans to win this game, just as like a long shot, GPP-ish kind of bet, but like I don't think Trey Lance is that good, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan is that good, so I'm willing to take a shot on the Texans here. That puts Rex Burkhead in play, by the way, so just sidebar. Going into the next one, we have the Vikings at the Packers. I don't know why I couldn't say that for a sec. This game's not on the slate, but obviously Kirk Cousins is missing the game because he's a moron. Packers should win this easily. We have the Jaguars at the Patriots. So this game's only a 41.5 over-under. I don't really like this game for DFS all that much, but I do really like Marvin Jones. And I do really like the Patriots defense. Like, they're implied for 12.5 real life points. That's tragically bad. But Marvin Jones should get like 13, 14 targets here. They don't have anybody else. They don't have anybody else to throw to. And Trevor Lawrence is dropping back like 40 times per game. So it's a really, really easy spot to just plug in Marvin Jones. He's another kind of guy like Courtland Sutton where there's just nobody else around him. So it makes him a really, really good GPP option. All he needs to do is just catch one long touchdown, and he probably wins GPP. Browns at Steelers. I don't think this game's on the slate either. It's not. But the Steelers are going to win this game, so just go bet the money line on them. The Dolphins at the Titans. This game's a 41 over-under. God, that's tragic. Both teams down 3 points. I don't like this game much. I think Donta Foreman is interesting. A.J. Brown is obviously a good play in all formats, but I probably wouldn't focus on him. He's a little bit too expensive for a team that I don't think is very good. Jalen Waddle is fine, but I'm probably not focusing on this. 41 over-under. It's really bad. And then we have the Lions at the Seahawks. So the Seahawks are 8.5-point favorites here over a Lions team that does not have any of their top receiving options and is being led by Tim Boyle. How is Rashad Penny not just massive fucking chalk? It makes no sense to me. Like, Rashad Penny is probably the best play on the slate because he's only like 5% owned or something. So definitely want some Rashad Penny. It's concerning that the Seahawks are only 8.5-point favorites here in this spot, but like I don't see how the Lions can move the ball. So yeah, I think Seahawks like they should just crush the Lions in this spot. The Saints at home versus the Panthers. Mark Ingram is a game time decision. He kind of looks doubtful. So Alvin Kamara is certainly in play here. He's just really, really expensive. And the total has dropped 11 points from open. Fucking terrible. Neither one of these teams is good. I suppose Alvin Kamara is an okay play. Nobody else. Nobody else. Sam Darnold and Cam Newton should split work. So just nobody else in this game. And then finally we have the Bears at home versus the Giants. Bears are 6.5 point favorites here. David Montgomery is a pretty good play, I think. A pretty good chalk play. I don't mind him. The Giants are going to be going back and forth between Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm, so you can't really stack them. And they only have Kenny Golladay as a receiver that has not been called up from the practice squad. So David Montgomery, probably the chalk piece that I'm most interested in. Him and Rashad Penny, probably my favorite running backs on the slate. So yeah, OBJ, one of your core GPP plays. Yeah, I really like OBJ in this spot. I think that his upside is really, really good with the Rams. And he's direct leverage on Sony Michel as well. So, and Cooper Kupp, who should be chalk. So I really like OBJ in that spot. Doing a secondary correlation of like OBJ and Marquise Brown, I think is really, really interesting. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I do really like it. Seahawks by a million, fucking absolutely. Yeah, I don't see how the Lions score more than like 10 points. It doesn't make sense to me that they are even close on this. In fact, like you should probably go bet the under team total on the Lions. Like I don't know what it's at. It should be at what, 12.5 right now? No, 16.25. Yeah, I'll take the under. They're not going to score that many points. Zay Jones in play for you as far as a punt? Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. I like the Raiders overall. Like I think that Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, and Foster Moreau are all plenty fine options. I don't mind it. So, yeah, of course. Yeah, I like the Raiders. I like the Raiders most weeks. All right, let's jump into the models here a little bit. Okay, so if we look at the stacks overall, what we're looking at here is Buffalo being the top overall stack. That's mostly because Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis should get the vast majority of the work. So it should be a skinnier target tree without Emmanuel Sanders there. And it just makes for them being a really, really good stack. The problem, of course, is that they don't have to press on the gas if they don't want to. They're like 15-point home favorites or something. So just be cautious of that. I do think that they are a good stack, though. Josh Allen accounts for like 80% of the touchdowns scored or something like that. So it could just be a huge blow-up game for Buffalo. Next, we have the Rams. Like I said, Cooper Kupp, very expensive, very good play. OBJ, also very much in play. Ownership is high here. The stack is really, really expensive. And you really can't bring it back with Mark Andrews. You pretty much have to go Marquise Brown in order to make a good lineup. So that's really, really difficult to do. You can go OBJ and Van Jefferson and bring it back for Mark Andrews if you want to be, if you like insist on having Mark Andrews. So it's basically just Cooper Kupp versus Mark Andrews. Next we have Tampa Bay and then Kansas City, Baltimore and Cincinnati. Those are the teams that all project above 50 points aggregate. Like I mentioned, Kansas City, they're just hard to stack. They've just been not great for DFS because Mahomes has been spreading the ball around so much. But, they're still going to be a really, really good option. And against Cincinnati, it's so easy to just say that Kansas City, Cincinnati is going to shoot out, that stacking that game just makes a lot of sense. I don't mind going on either side of it. The thing that I probably prefer most, though, is secondary correlations. Going with maybe Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase, or Travis Kelce and Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is the option this week. But you can attack this game however you want. I don't mind if you stack it. I don't mind if you use secondary correlations. But it is a good game to have exposure to. Baltimore, like I mentioned with the Rams, I like Baltimore side more just because Tyler Huntley is so much cheaper and you can actually afford to do Mark Andrews, OBJ, and Marquise Brown. But it can be hard. Tampa Bay is kind of like the odd man out here. I don't know how I feel about it. Tom Brady doesn't project all that well, but Antonio Brown projects very well. Mike Evans projects okay. Robert Gronkowski is a good option. As usual, I'm fine stacking Tampa Bay, but I don't know how much I prioritize it this week. Arizona and Dallas, I think, is the best game stack on the slate. Going with Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz, and Michael Gallup is probably the way that I would want to go about it. But you can go with a Dallas stack as well. It's just going to be way higher owned. And I think that it is not quite as good as an Arizona side. Kyler Murray just projects so much better than Dak Prescott. Las Vegas, like I mentioned, I'm not super into stacking them. But if you do, you're just going to bring it back with Michael Pittman for sure. On the other side of that, I'm not interested in stacking Indianapolis at all. They project just terribly. Basically, like, I'm not interested in stacking really any of these teams. Actually, fuck it. I'm not really interested in stacking any of these teams. I'd really only stack from the Chargers up. And all of those stacks, I think, make sense one way or another. Like the Chargers, you're just going to stack this and bring it back with Cortland Sutton. Las Vegas, you're going to just stack this, bring it back with Michael Pittman. Seattle, I don't mind stacking, but I'm probably going to have like 100% Rashad Penny, so I'm probably not going to get around to stacking Seattle. But I don't mind stacking Seattle, really. You can just bring it back with Amon St. Brown. That's a fair option. So stacks are really straightforward this week. It is 10, so I probably need to cut the stream off here. I know that it was super duper short, but like I just wanted to get some thoughts out and talk through some things. I'm gonna still be active in the Discord. I'm still gonna be active, like hanging out, building lineups, stuff like that. So jump in the Discord, go read the article, go look at the models, all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, you can hit me up in the Discord, of course, and I'm willing to answer anything. But this is a good slate. It's a really hard one. The pricing is really, really efficient, and I think that the way that you win it is through wide receivers. Like, I don't mind that there's so many running back options that I think that running back is pretty much going to just, like, be a wash across the slate, but I think that the wide receiver options are what's going to win you GPPs. So focus on home run wide receivers, focus on getting your GPP exposure there, and end up going winning a slate. As usual, if you don't have a subscription to paydirdfs.com, go get your subscription. Esports starts back up this month. Hatter's models are up on the site now, so Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and tennis are also available. Lots of cool things happening. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys, and if you have any questions, then hit me up later. Thanks so much, guys.